the psalmist, David. So when you understand that once you start, you see yourself sitting in the God seat in triple darkness in the middle of nowhere, and you recognize and observe that position. You sitting in the center of creation. That's the mindset. You sitting in the center of creation and you creating everything. Okay, now you would simplify the totality of creation. You got to bring it into your 3D model of yourself. I'm God pretending to be Rod. How am I supposed to behave as God in this 3D realm? This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to rewrite who the system told me to be. I'm not going to be Rod. I'm going to be Morpheus Mysticus Magus. Morpheus Mysticus Magus is our chemical name that was adopted by the character Rod in order to break free from the character Rod and become the embodiment of the liberating mind that I want to be, so that I can help other people liberate their mind. So more.
All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat as we enter another week. I got a new guest tonight. It's going to be explosive. Tonight's going to be a good one. Oh man, it's going to be a great one tonight. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody in the chat. I see the regulars in the chat. Shout out to all y'all. But listen, without further ado, I'm telling y'all, I remember when I had Rod Hayes make his debut on the channel, and it was dynamic. I remember when Dr. B made his debut on the channel. I remember when Sharif Bey made his debut. Tonight's debut from this young lady right here is going to be epic, just like those brothers right there. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the Black Magic 363 platform, making her debut, Yaya777.
Hello, peace family. How are y'all doing? I'm so honored to be here, Brother Rich. I cannot thank you enough for allowing me on your platform. I've been watching you for years, and I've been planting the seeds in my mind for years, telling myself, I'm going to get on that show one day.
Oh, man.
And look, so, like I said, I'm honored to be here. I'm thankful to be able to, plant seeds for everybody else and just enlighten and open people's minds.
Mm-hmm. Tell the people a little bit about yourself as we get started with this wonderful conversation tonight.
So, as y'all know, I am Yaya's World 777 on Instagram as well as TikTok. I also have 2 Facebook pages under different names. I can put those in the chat later, but I basically just deliver truth with love. I do a lot of deconstruction of religion. I do a lot of esoteric knowledge, political systems. I just deconstruct everything that we've learned and been taught because it's all lies. And I teach people how to get back to themselves. So how to find your inner self, how to connect with your higher self so that you can get to your correct destination, so you can live out your true purpose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is literally what I do. Everybody knows me online. I'm real sassy. So a lot of people know me as someone that's real sassy. I'm a firecracker. But like I said, I deliver truth with love. A lot of people can't handle it, but it's just where they vibrate in. So I'm here for those I resonate with. I always love to say that.
Indeed. The topic tonight, the Matrix glitch. I actually seen a post on your Instagram. What's funny, family? I seen Yaya. I've been seeing her for a while on TikTok. Whenever I'm on TikTok and I like look something up, like try to do some research. Like I give you an example. I was doing research for the show Sinners when I did a review with Abundance Child and 19 Keys and Red Pill, and I'm like, I want to hear some of the reviews on TikTok, and Yaya's came up, and I got to where I was like, damn, I need to have this sister over here. She ain't no joke. And in my mind, y'all, I was so programmed in my mind that TikTok is a different world from YouTube. Then I'm like, I remember like 3 weeks ago, I had a brother from TikTok on here, and I'm like, I need to get a lot of the people I see on TikTok on my platform, because y'all be dropping hella knowledge on there. So, but your Sinners review, I'm gonna tell y'all, if y'all follow her on TikTok, her review of Sinners was amazing. And that's what I was. After that one, I said, no, I'm getting her on the show. I said, no, not, she ain't getting away. I said, she ain't getting away.
I appreciate it. Sinners, listen, and that was just like the tip of the iceberg. It was so much. And I saw the breakdowns you guys did, and it was amazing as well. And it's a lot to unpack when it comes to sinners. So much symbolism.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who's some of your before we get started? Who's some of your favorite speakers? Like when you first got introduced to consciousness that may have helped you or influence what you currently do right now? Because my personal favorite is Bobby Hemmett. That's my personal top.
I love Bobby Hemmett. I absolutely love Bobby Hemmett. But to be honest, when I first started watching your show, it was Professor Griff that really put me on. Like, especially as far as like the industry type of knowledge, because everything is connected. So that's literally how I started, just decoding things in the industry. And so then it transferred into like religion and then everything else. So Professor Griff, I gotta give him his flowers. I hope he sees this because I love Griff. I love Dr. B as well. Sister Myra, I absolutely love Sister Myra. One of my favorites. Rashad Jamal, one of my favorites as well. Peace to Rashad Jamal. It's so many that I can name. I love, Billy Carson. I love his information. He goes real deep, esoteric knowledge. It's so many. Sharif Bey, I've been watching him on your channel as well, and he is, he's it. So it's so many I could definitely give their flowers. Just off the dome, though, I could think of those folks.
All right. Now that we got that out the way, let's get started with tonight's topic, Yaya. Yes. In terms of the Matrix glitch, a lot of people, even professors, a lot of people are coming out and men saying that, hey, we live in a simulation. It's similar to the Matrix. The Matrix is more of a documentary, more than just a movie. And let me just read something real quick. For those who may not know, when we say simulation or simulation theory, they say that it is the idea that our perceived reality is a computer simulation, possibly created by higher beings or advanced civilization. It suggests that what we experience as the real world is actually a simulated reality with humans as constructs within that simulation. Philosopher Nick Bostrom developed the simulation argument in 2003, suggesting that if a civilization becomes capable of creating realistic simulations, they could potentially generate so many simulated beings that a randomly chosen conscious entity would likely be within a simulation. Touching on this topic, very, very important, very, very atop the Matrix just awakened so many individuals all over the world. The first thing I want to talk to you about when we talk about glitches in the Matrix, and we talk about maybe we use the word frequency. Like, let's start out using the word frequency, and we're talking about, like, we're always talking about improving ourselves and getting better. One thing we notice about the Matrix and how the Matrix responds a lot of times, when we try to improve ourselves, a classic scenario that even your grandmother or a lot of people throughout the generations experience is that, let's say some money come to you. Let's say you get an unexpected check for 50,000. Brother Rich got a check for 50,000. You extremely happy. You're thinking about all the things you could do with the 50,000. Out the blue, something happens, and you be like, "Damn!" The person will be like, "As soon as I make it, something happens to take it." And people, this happens again and again and again and again, where people just can't figure out why they say, why as soon as something good happens to me, it seems like something bad happens to me. So it seems like something just keeps grabbing you back to the frequency you've been on, and it's like you're trying to run away and fight your way, and they just grab your ass right back. Tell me what's happening with the simulation, making these adjustments when you thinking you're about to be prosperous, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I guess it was, I guess it's just not meant to be. What happens in that situation, within this Matrix simulation?
Well, one of the biggest things that happen is you get in the way. You let your mind get in the way, because we are programmed to say certain things. So when you just said that, I said, it always happens, right? I'm
Mm.
saying it always happens. That's literally a part of the program. So even myself, I'm living in the matrix in some aspects because we program certain languages and, you know, the language programs our actions. So in our subconscious mind, we're saying, okay, I know as soon as I get this money, something else is going to come up. Like more money, more problems. These little phrases, these terms that we say keep us in the loop. So every time you associate, every time you get something good, you feel like something bad is going to come behind that because that is a part of the program. That is what it's designed to do. So in order to break that programming, you have to retrain and reprogram your mind to say the opposite. Like, no, I'm gonna get this money and more gonna come behind that, or whatever that feeling is that you're looking for. You have to reprogram that because you are the creator and you were created. So you're everything. You can do any and everything that you want. That is what they don't want you to understand or know. So that's what's happening. We are literally creating these constructs and blocks in our minds. And so we are looking for this, but not on a conscious level all the time. So you're like, no, I wasn't looking for that. Yeah, but on a subconscious, you were, because that's a part of the program. Remember, this is a matrix, you know, this is the matrix. This is a simulation. So somebody, something, which is a lot of the external forces, social media, the news, your parents, you know, everybody around you, everything outside of you that's contributing to the programming. So to me, that's been my experience. Like I always tell people, I speak from my experience. And from my experience, I realized when I pause, because the pause is where the magic happens. When you start pausing and you like, hold on, let me think about this, right? Because once you get into quantum physics and quantum realities and all of that, you realize that every choice then collapses everything else around you, because you can make this choice and have a totally different outcome or reality if you would have made that choice. So once you start understanding that, then you're more mindful, you're more cautious, you're more aware. And that's how you break out of the matrix, by becoming aware, something they don't want you to do.
Indeed. You know, when you just mentioned the word creator, if we're talking about this being a simulation, a computer, let's say this is a computer simulation, and there was a programmer for this computer simulation. What I want to ask you is, what is the relationship between the programmers? Do you think the relationship between the programmers of this simulation and the Black woman is because she represents the most advanced spiritual entity in this realm, being melanated and being a woman at the same time? So what's that relationship between a programmer of this matrix and the most advanced avatar in this matrix?
Ooh, I love this question. So absolutely, I completely agree with you. The so-called Black woman is what a lot of people would consider God, right? Or even the energy of what you consider God. So when we talk about the programmer, a lot of people would consider the programmer God. And so when we think about the Black woman, just think about how much influence the Black woman has on the masses. And we can even break it down to family dynamics. Think about the mother, the woman in the household. You know, I know the father plays a very important, pivotal role, but when you think about the mother and how many people may have traumas or mommy issues, think about the impact of Black mothers and how we shape reality for not just our family, not just our people, right? But the whole world, everybody, because we are the original, we are the blueprint. We are the ones that were here first. We are the ones that, you know, were created to walk this realm first. And so, with that being said, we have somewhat fed and created this simulation. We have fed and created it. So everything that we are the programmers, and not just us Black women, but everybody now, but ultimately us being the originals, we are the blueprint. So what is artificial intelligence? It has to have something to mimic. What is it mimicking? Ancestral intelligence. Where does that come from? Right? We have to take it all the way back to the original people. The original people walking this earth were women. So when you ask that question, it's literally that we shape everything.
Mm-hmm.
Literally everything. This is why it goes back to the suppression of the divine feminine, and why divine feminine has been suppressed for so long. Like, everything is connected. There's reasons for every single thing. And so the divine feminine has been suppressed because we are the blueprint. And once we wake up, once we glitch the matrix, we can glitch the matrix ourselves. Once we do that, everyone rises. That's the fear. That's the biggest fear right now.
Somebody said the Sibyls. Somebody said the Sibyls. Indeed, indeed. Let me ask, talking about glitching the matrix, a lot of people will consider one of the biggest ways the matrix gets glitched is what a lot of people consider the Mandela effect. Now, with the Mandela effect, people have noticed two distinct timelines. So let's use Mandela. It's named, let's say that's named after Nelson Mandela. Some people remember a timeline where he died in prison, and Winnie Mandela visited him. They did a burial or whatever. And a lot of people remember when he got free after 30 years or whatever.
Right.
What I want to ask you, because we pretty much got knowledge of the Mandela effect, what I want to take that two groups of people noticing two different timelines and apply it to a personal example. Yeah. So if the Mandela can happen on a collective scale, let's say on a smaller scale that we all can learn from. We in a household, or you in a group, or you got a crew, or whatever, and two different people, let's say it's you and your best friend, and y'all get into a little argument about what happened in the past or whatever, and both of y'all recall different things that happened in the past, and you like, hell no, you did that. She like, fuck out of here, you did that shit. But both of y'all, in your hearts, y'all really believe each individual timeline that you are coming up with. What the hell is going on with that? And who's telling the truth in that instance when there's two timelines that two people firmly believe in, Yaya?
Oh, that's so interesting. I never look at it as like who's telling the truth. I just look at it now that I know and understand about energy and vibration. I look at it as that, because that's exactly what it is. They can't see past where they were vibrating. So if they feel like, in that moment they weren't wrong, is because that's where they're vibrating. They're not taking accountability for whatever the actions that they partook in at that moment, because literally everything leads back to you. So each one of the people had a role to play in the situation. So there was no right or wrong, right? Because who determines that? It always leads back to that question. Who determines the what's right or what's wrong? Who was right or who was wrong? It's all based off of perception and perspective. So it's basically where you're vibrating. What frequency are you on? Because if I'm on a higher frequency and I'm taking accountability, I'm connected to higher self, then I can say, I absolutely did play a role in that. And here's what I did. You know what I'm saying? But if you're not vibrating there, you can't even see past that, because that's not where your frequency is. You still down here. So I never look at it like this one is telling the truth or this one is telling the truth, because we can't even define what truth is, because they was in two different worlds, two different realities. So when they merged together, now it's like, who gonna determine which reality was right?
Right. I mean, that so many relationships have gotten ruined from that they got the saying there's three truths: what this person said, that person said, and what really happened.
Right.
It happened so much. Like, there's just two completely different stories from the past, and people like, well, what the hell happened? So it's it's a very interesting dynamic to this simulation.
But it's just like when I was telling a lot of people, like, I live here in Atlanta, and I've noticed in 2019 a lot of the orbs people was talking about just recently. I've been noticing them over my house for years, and I swear, me and my children were like the only ones who could see the orbs, because people would come over and I'm like, hold on, let me take you outside and show you this. They looking up, I can see all these orbs in the sky, and they like, I don't see nothing. I do not see anything there. And I'm like, that's when I started to realize, and it really made it easier for me as far as interacting with people. because you talking to somebody, you like, how you don't get this? Like, you really baffled by like this not clicking to you, but it really isn't, like, because that's not where they're vibrating. So when you start coming from that perspective, you stop getting mad. Like, you stop letting certain things anger you, because you like, that's where you vibrating. Like, that's how I look at everything. And I just stay calm and cool and collected, because that's a part of learning emotional intelligence, analyzing and understanding people, their energy and vibrations. And once I did that, it changed the game, because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna leave you where you are, because we're not compatible. We're not even on the same frequency. We're on two different channels. So, that's just how I look at that.
When I use the word Matrix, of course, I think about the movie The Matrix. And, one of the antagonists in The Matrix was Mr. Smith. And he was a hell of a bad guy in that movie. And people thinking about the Sentinels and Mr. Smith. And when Neo entered the Matrix, they knew Neo was in the Matrix. If we're talking about we're all the Neo, we're all that chosen one in our own reality. When we enter this Matrix, or when we enter the simulation, do you think that the Mr. Smiths or whoever it is in the Matrix that seeks to suppress the knowledge and information and the wisdom, do you think they know when a Yaya enters the Matrix? Do you think they know when a Radiohead Rich? And they do things to prepare for you in your childhood. That's why so many of the chosen ones experience so much turmoil in the childhood, because Mr. Smith know your ass that entered the Matrix.
Absolutely. Listen, you targeted before you even get here. They already checking for you before you get here. But once you do get here, just remember, they already got the whole thing set up. They're going to take you to the back, away from your mama. They're going to take your blood. I mean, vials of it too, not just a drop. They want all of it. They want a lot of your blood. They want to stick you. You know what I'm saying? They want to do all of these different things. So from childhood, of course, they already trying to see who's who, trying to figure out what bloodline you come from, what abilities you have. And so then when you start to break out of the Matrix, when you start to free your mind, it's, again, we are frequencies, energy, vibrations, and we send out signals based off of where we are. And so a lot of people on that video you were talking about that you saw when about the glitches in the Matrix, and the young lady talking about the cars, there were so many people sent with the program, right? They're part of the program, in the comments saying, now, why would they do this for one person? Why would they do this for one person? But why? That's a part of the programming, because they want you to think they wouldn't do that for one person. But if you think of yourself as so low level that you're not powerful enough for them to track you, when literally that's all they've been doing your whole life. Everything literally is about you. If you look at that Bible, it's metaphorical and allegorical in relation to your body. Everything is talking about your human body, your temple. Why? There has to be some importance to it. So we have to start looking at, okay, why are they so interested in our bodies, right? And so that's what made me interested in it, because I'm like, they have all kind of CIA files. They got documents upon documents about how we astral travel, how we do all these things, right?
You're right.
And I'm like, why are they so interested in that? Like what they need to know, you know what I'm saying? So we got to start looking at what they're looking at. They're analyzing this for a reason, and it's because you're so powerful. So they know more about us than we know about us, because again, that is a part of the programming. So they know when you start to rise, you start emitting a certain frequency and vibration, right? You have an auric field. Certain energies come up off of you. You may not be able to see it, but we're talking about different level entities, right? We're not talking about just other people, your ops. We're not talking about them, Pookie and Ray Ray and the Hood. We're talking about these different entities that literally feed off of vibrations, energy, and they feed off of your fear. They feed off of your lack, your scarcity, everything negative, everything lower level. They need you at that level. So when you think about it in that sense, it all makes sense, because they have to send you different signals. They have to send you different distractions to keep you away from the forbidden knowledge, to keep you away from understanding who you truly are. Because once you wake up, like I said, especially the time that we in right now, which is the great or mass awakening, they know what time it is. They already know. You cannot stop what's happening. There's so many people by the droves waking up. Like, I have hundreds of emails literally all day long going from people just not even wanting anything other than to say thank you or to say, this has helped me so much. People was not interested in this information. And I'm sure you know that. You've been doing this for a while. There was not a lot of people on this wave a while ago. But if you notice, there are so many people now diving into the information, hungry for the knowledge, because they're being pulled. Their higher selves are pulling on them, telling them, listen, you can either stay trapped in that box, because our minds are literally our box. And it ties back to why they worship the Saturn's cube. You know, that it's a box. And it's your mind. That's the prison. You know, and so it's when you escape that, now we have to think about what the box unfolds to, the cross. So now we can take that cross, right? And let's relate to what they said. Jesus died on the cross. And so we know the time that we in is in the mass great awakening, right? And so we talk about Christ consciousness and enlightenment, and we talk about Kundalini rising, right? So all of that goes hand in hand. So when the Kundalini energy rises and you reach total enlightenment, you open up that box, and the box turns into a cross, which Jesus died on. And Jesus died on the cross symbolizes the ego death, right? And the enlightenment to you, to your higher self, back to you. So everything leads back to you. I will always say that. If you take accountability for things, if you know, this is how you start raising your vibration. This is how you break the matrix. I'm taking accountability for everything. No matter what happened to me, I'm not going to say, oh, he did X, Y, and Z to me. I allowed him to do X, Y, and Z to me. I'm not going to say, oh, if I speak like this, nothing's going to happen, because it's just words. You know, I hear so many people say that. Like, I teach etymology as well on my channel. There's a lot of people who's like, morning ain't, there ain't no bad word. I should be able to say morning. Okay, well, you can. Absolutely. You can say whatever it is that you want to say, because you create your own reality. And that's what your reality will look like. Like, you're mourning and grieving every single day when you wake up, right? That's what your reality is going to look like. But for me, I rise just like the sun outside, because I'm connected to it. So I'm not saying good morning, because there's nothing good about morning. So it's like, we have to understand how they played on our minds for so long. They shrunk our consciousness with the English language, literally. And one of the lowest vibrational languages that took and stole, just like they do with everything else here in the great country of America, right? Took and stole the language from other languages. So it's not even an original language. It's stolen and put together. And the lowest vibrational words. And they keep us in these loops, like I was talking about with a lot of the phrases that they have us saying. I was talking about on another podcast the other day, a lot of the young kids, instead of them saying, that was hilarious or that was funny, I'm dead. Where did that come from? Why would we associate that with laughter? You know what I'm saying? So that's low vibrational. And saying this to a low vibrational entity is going to sound like, oh, you just thinking too much. Oh, it ain't even that serious. To you, it's not. To you, it's not. To me, it's everything, because I noticed once I changed my words, my actions changed, everything else around me changed, my environment changed. And I also took, I'll tell you guys this, I took shrooms. I started doing a lot of shrooms. Well, not a lot, but I did shrooms. And my last experience I did on the Lionsgate portal, and that one literally blew everything open for me. And it was like someone else was talking, possibly my higher self, and was telling me, I created everything. I did all of this. Everything you see, everything around you, the people around me, I created everything, because it's like, I'm the main character. This is my movie. So everybody else around me is just players in my movie, right? And so when you think about it from that aspect, that is how I got back to my higher self, realizing that I am the player in my movie and everybody else are just extras. And it sounds arrogant, it sounds crazy when you think about it like that, but you're supposed to think about it, you're supposed to be thinking about it like that, because it's literally everything leads back to you. Because once you realize everybody is connected, leading back to me realizes that I'm leading back to everybody and everything else. I can only fix and heal me. But if I do that, and then imagine if everybody else is doing that, now we are healing the collective. And that's how energy, that's how the frequency works. That's how we rise together.
Let me ask you this. Being that you said what you said, and people being extras in your movie, there's a popular term when we talk about the simulation theory and the matrix, and people use that term, they say the NPCs. NPCs, for those who don't know, are non-playable characters or background characters. What I want to ask you, Yaya, because people say, oh, this percentage of the population is NPCs, this percentage are real. I want to ask you, Yaya, and I thought about this right before the show. I said, I got to ask Yaya this. Is everybody a NPC? And when I say that, let me tell you what I mean by that. So if you are conversating with, let's say, somebody who's a diehard Christian, they have no idea of what you're talking about and no plan on leaving Christianity. You may be an NPC to them because you're just a background character. So you have no relevance. You're just filling up space in their movie, and you're actually helping them strengthen their beliefs of Christianity, because when they hear you, they just call you crazy and thank Jesus that they enter Christianity. Now, you're an NPC to them, but in your own life, you're this soul elevated, conscious, chosen one, whatever. Is that how it is with a lot of us? We are in somebody else's movie or life, we're NPCs, but in our own lives, we're chosen one, and it's vice versa with other people. Do you think it may be like that?
Honestly, I think it should be like that, and I don't think it's like that. I think a lot of people do the opposite. A lot of people don't look at themselves as the main character. A lot of people too focused on everybody else, right? I'm so focused on what so-and-so has going on. I'm in their world so much. Like, a lot of people are in other people's worlds more than they know more about themselves. Like, I know more about you than I know about me. That's a problem, right? So honestly, I feel like it's supposed to be the opposite. Like, we are supposed to feel like I'm the main character, y'all are the extras. Like, I'm not concerned about what y'all have going on. Not on that level. Like, on a humanitarian level, of course. Like, I'm concerned about the people, all of that. I want to make sure that everybody's good, vibrations high, but on an individual level, I'm only focused on me, my own universe. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to be focusing on what Brother Rich has going on, or what the next person has going on. So I feel like it's not like that as much. I think we're rising towards that, because a lot of people are getting back to themselves, and getting back to yourself. You have to be the main character, period, point blank. There's no other way around it. But a lot of people are just so focused on the extras that they're not focused on the main character, which is themselves. So I do think that it should be that way, but it's not completely that way yet.
Yeah, earlier when you were talking about waking up in the Matrix and them knowing you wake up in the Matrix, I had two individual, real interesting things that happened when it made me think in my 20s. One of them, Yaya, was when I first got involved in the consciousness, and I started to do this like full time, and I'm studying under Sarnetta, and I'm like, yo, I want to interview people. I think I could be a good interview. I want to interview people, and I started interview people out of nowhere, Yaya, out the blue, and I just start like, let's say I've been interviewing people for about less than a year, for about 6-7 months. Out of nowhere, I get a letter in the mail that I had applied to a job when I was younger for when you live in New York City, you get the city job. So I had applied when I was like 18. I was just my friends was like, yo, we need to apply to city jobs. They might call us in a couple of years. We never know. So I had applied. They respond as soon as I start doing this for me with a job offer for $30 an hour. Now back then, $30 I don't know about now. I haven't had a 9 to 5 in a while. But back then, $30 an hour, you're like, oh shit, $30 an hour, I'm good to go. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what? I'm like, why the fuck did I get? I said, yo, as soon as I start doing this, I start popping. Here come the job offer. Sarnetta can tell you. Sarnetta say, yo, Rich, you crazy if you don't take that shit, nigga. You better take that job. Don't be stupid. Yo, I swear he will tell you this. He told me, he was like, Rich, don't be stupid. Don't let your ego get the best of you. I said, nah, man, I love this shit. I said, money was never like, I love the freedom of expressing myself and doing what I love to do. So that made me realize something. Another thing, Yaya. 2 examples. And I want you to like kind of, because I know people go through this a lot.
Right.
The job thing was one. The other thing, Yaya, was I've been in a relationship for about 19 years now, going on 20 years this year. Long time, right? Hey. When I first got in my relationship and I decided that I wanted to be committed and I wanted this to be real, I don't know where all these women start talking to me. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, yo, what the fuck? I said, where was y'all? I said, where was y'all? Listen, I was just single a year ago. Y'all motherfuckers, what I'm like, what the fuck is going on, Yaya? Like this Matrix shit. This shit ain't no joke.
It's real. It's real.
They will come at yo. So just elaborate. Maybe we already talked to it, but elaborate a little bit on those 2 examples so everybody can learn from that. Because you know what I'm saying?
So I would just let's take it back to what Tyrese say. Every time I try to leave, something keeps pulling me back. I'm trying to tell you that's how it go. Every time something happens, you pull towards. Okay, let's just say, you know, you have your higher self, your higher voice, spirit, God, whatever you want to call this energy, because a lot of people get hung up on the name. We're not going to get hung up on that. This energy that pulls you towards greatness, right? That energy that told you, Brother Rich, start interviewing people, start doing X, Y, and Z. And then you have, you know, your mind, the prison, you know, which is Satan. That's truly what Satan is your mind. Now your mind is coming in and throwing things out at the simulation, and the simulation is throwing it back, right? And so now the simulation is going to give you distractions. Once again, like I said, because now your frequency is rising, you're trying to break out the matrix. You like, I'm done with this 9 to 5 stuff. I don't want to do that. I'm trying to live out my dream. I want to do what I'm interested in, do my passion and purpose. Every single time it's going to feel like something is trying to distract you or pull you back. But it's really just a test to see. And I don't even like to call it a test, but it's really just to see if you're in alignment. Are you in alignment to your dreams, your passion, your purpose? Or are you going to allow these distractions to pull you back? Are you ready? Because if not, you're going to keep repeating that lesson. And it's just like when we talk about reincarnation and coming back to this realm because we didn't get the lesson. It's the same exact thing. So while you're in this realm, on this realm, are you getting the lessons? Because if not, you're going to keep repeating them. And so, you know, you got thrown that job at you to see like, hey, are you really going towards your dreams, your passion, your purpose? Or you really just bullshitting, you playing around. You do you really want this? Let me see how bad you want it. You know what I'm saying? And you were like, you stood strong. You didn't fold. You like, nah, I love this. I know this is what I'm aligned to do. And then look what happened. Everything else fell in place because you didn't listen to Satan, your mind, telling you to go and stay in that job, which is a part of the simulation, right? They want you to do that job. They want you to work because they need a lot of workers. They don't need no thinkers. So they want you to be on that job. The matrix or the simulation does. But your higher self was like, nah, this is what we were here to do. This is why we came to this realm in the first place. So when you get in total alignment, mind, spirit, body, soul, that is when you will live out your true dreams and passion, and money will follow. Oh yeah. When you living in your dreams and passion and purpose. So you don't even got to chase that. That's another trap. The hustler's mindset, the hustler mentality. Yeah, it's a trap.
You dropping some gems tonight, Yaya. I told y'all. Shout out to everybody in the building. We got almost 2,000 people already in the chat. If you came in late, this young lady is her debut, Yaya777 family. She's fire. Make sure y'all follow her. She gonna be on here again. She is fire, family. So yeah, tonight's one of them special nights. Yaya, you gotta explain this shit. You gotta explain this one. And I think I heard you talk about it on your Instagram. And I already thought about this so many times before. What, Yaya? In this, let me whisper. In this matrix, This is a good one. This might be the best
I'm
whatever.
ready.
Why does shit go missing in your house? Oh,
Ooh.
why does shit go? Yeah. I'll be like, where my forks at? Yo, where's this at? I'll be like, yo, where's that? Yo, yeah. Sometimes I can't find shit. Where does it go?
Oh my god.
Where does it go, yeah? Why is
got
the
a
Matrix?
lot of different theories for
Why
this.
is the Matrix taking all my shit? Talk to me, yeah. Why shit just be missing?
So when I first started, when I first started noticing this, it was like with the socks, right? I know a lot of people can relate to the socks.
Yeah.
You put your socks, pairs of socks, right, in the dryer or in the wash. You go, you dry them and everything. You go on to fold them, and now you like, where's my socks? Like, where's my other sock? Because you can always find that one, right? And you find the other one. One time I ripped the dryer apart because somebody was like, look in the back, look behind the dryer. So I'm like, there's no sock. So I'm like, who ate the sock? Well, somebody ate the sock. And then the same thing with my spoons, my forks, my knives. And then I asked my daughters, I'm like, where the knives? Where the spoons? And they're like, I don't know. I said, somebody just eating them. Somebody just eating the forks and spoons. So for a long time, I blamed the girls, right? So then I got into the whole theory about fairies, right?
Yeah.
I started hearing a lot about the Fae and about how they're very tricky and how they take certain things. So I got into that programming. I started blaming them for everything. And like every time something would come up missing, I'll be like, put my shit back. Like I'll be talking to the fairies because I'm thinking it's the fairies.
Right.
But then as my consciousness kept expanding and, new downloads keep coming, I'm like, no, what's happening is I'm shifting into different timelines. I'm shifting. So it's like when you think about the clothes, because in the video you was talking about, I was talking about clothes and how there's a lot of clothes that I had, and I specifically remember keeping them. I've never gotten rid of them, right? Mm-hmm. And I it was strategic because I'm like, nah, this is my favorite outfit. I'm not getting rid of it. I moved, I had the outfit still. I'm able to see the outfit, but I noticed after a few months, like I don't see the outfit anymore. Like it's nowhere in the house. And so I start to realize like every time my emotions or my vibration or anything changes dramatically, I lose things. And I'm starting to think it's because I'm shedding those things that no longer serve me because I'm moving and shifting into a higher vibration or timeline. So those clothes, that's the old me. I don't need that anymore. And so now when I look at it, this literally just happened. Literally, my daughter lost my debit card. I never even let my kids have my cards like that because it always happens. But when she lost it, I immediately got a little annoyed. But immediately my higher self came back and said, it's time. You about to shift into getting new money now, right? Mm-hmm. This card is associated with your old money, with your doubts, your fears, your lack, your scarcity mindset. You got to let everything go. You got to shed everything and start new. I'll give you another example. Just last night, I told myself, I'm shifting my reality. I'm about to shift my reality. Now it's time for me to elevate even further into where I want to be. Mm-hmm. Just today, I go on TikTok. Now, when you have a certain amount of views on TikTok, it usually will say like 10.1K. Like it won't say the full like 10 zeros. Like it won't say 10,000 across. Mm-hmm. Mine said 10,000 across at 11:11. And so I know when I see those zeros, that means a reset. And I said last night, I'm shifting or resetting my life or my reality. And literally that's what's happening. So it's like losing the card, seeing, the numbers that I saw on TikTok, me saying that I was shifting my reality. I'm literally doing exactly what I said. I'm shifting my reality. So I know I'm going to lose more things because I'm shifting into a new person. And so every time we lose something, now I look at it as that because I want to choose to associate that with something positive. And for me, it's just telling me that I'm shifting or moving higher into a vibration where I don't need those things. They don't align with who I am now.
Mm-hmm. With these numbers, a lot of people talk about the angel numbers and getting messages from the angel numbers. Mm-hmm. If we're getting messages from other dimensions with numbers, repeating numbers like 777, 555, 666, is this something that, we should use to communicate back to them, perhaps on our altars or affirmations? Like when we say affirmation, we use words. I may say, let's say my name is Rich. I may say I am rich, but do you think it's more if they say numerology is the language of the universe? Should I just say 888, 888? And if I keep repeating a number, do you think that might be more powerful than saying the actual word?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's all frequency and vibration. So it's literally how you choose to associate with your higher self or your ancestors, whatever you feel like you're connecting to, or whatever you feel like it's trying to connect to you, because that's literally what it is. Mm-hmm. I look at it as my higher self sending me messages, because my higher self knows everything already, right? And so my higher self is just showing me messages, or my future self, because it's guiding me towards her. And so my future self is like dropping little breadcrumbs along the way, like little clues, like, hey, am I in alignment? Because a lot of times that'll be like my dilemma, like, am I in alignment? Am I making the right decision? It's kind of like my divination. So when I get that confirmation, if I see certain numbers, especially in correlation to certain things, now I know, I'm like, oh yeah, my higher self is confirming what I already know. And so I don't think you have to communicate in terms of like saying 11, 11, 11, 11. I think you just have to be aware of, first of all, what is this message? Because it's tailored to you, and you can't go on Google and just say, okay, 1111 means X, Y, and Z. No, it's specific to you and what you're doing in that moment. You have to learn how to decode and decipher, and learn how to communicate back with whatever it is that you're communicating with. Like I said, whether it be your higher self, you call it source, God, whoever, whatever. How do you communicate best? Because it's going to look different for every single person. So if you want to do vibrations as far as sending out signals with numbers instead of saying words, then absolutely, that's just how you choose to do that. But it depends on what your intention is and how you choose to connect with that entity. So
got a serious question that I'm going to merge with the science, the quantum physics. It's going to trigger certain people. It's a great way to use the science to talk about things that happen in people's personal lives. And what I want to ask you, Yaya, is if this is let's say this is a video, let's say people compare this to a computer simulation or a video game simulation, a video game, right? If I'm playing, let's say Grand Theft Auto, that's a great video game that will compare itself to the world. All types of shit go on in Grand Theft Auto. let's say I'm a female, Yaya, and or a brother, whatever, and I'm playing the game, but I'm a female character, and my female character in Grand Theft Auto, let's say she gets molested in Grand Theft Auto. She gets molested in Grand Theft Auto. I know it's a video game. I'm playing it, and I'm like, oh shit, they got me, and I'm, I got to break free or whatever. Now, when I have that memory of playing that video game, I'm not going to say, sorry, yo, I'm not going to say I got molested.
Right.
I'm going to say, damn, that shit was crazy in that video game. My character got molested, but I didn't really get molested. I want to, the reason why I bring that up, because it's a touchy subject for a lot of people having memories of what happened to them in the past, but are those memories really what happened to them, or is it just what happened in the simulation? Should they separate themselves from the avatar, the simulation, and understand and realize their true identity, which is the highest self, and say, hey, that shit ain't really happened to me? Or is that just a form of escapism if you go that route? Yeah.
I love that question. It's very interesting, and I think it's layered too. So from one aspect, I truly believe that you have to feel in order to heal. So with that being said, I know that you have to sit within that. As far as now, if you're talking about a simulation, right? If you're talking about this happening in a video game and it not actually happening to you, then that's completely different. But if we're saying that this happened to your physical vessel, right? It didn't happen to you, the soul, right? It happened to your vessel. And so when you're saying, should we separate the two?
This is an immersive video game. It's immersive. That's what's so tricky about it. It's immersive.
It's very tricky. you have to learn how to, in order, if we talking about breaking out of the video game though, right? Out of that matrix, you're gonna have to separate the two. You're gonna have to realize and analyze that it didn't happen to you being the soul. It happened to the physical you, right? Which is still you, but not the totality of you, if that makes sense. So
right.
To break out of the matrix, and even if we're talking about us now, like in this reality, to break out of it, because there's a lot of people that go through those traumas right now.
Yeah.
Are we going to keep at that same, are we going to keep harboring on that trauma? And I'm not being insensitive or anything like that, but what I'm saying is, are we going to keep reliving that? Are we going to say that this happened to us and keep affirming that? Because that's literally what we're doing. We're just recreating the program over and over. It's a loop. Remember, traumas are still tied to the loop. And so you have to be able to feel through those traumas, heal those traumas, and surpass them. And so that's why I said it's kind of tricky and it's layered, because like I said, from one aspect, you do have to feel in order to heal. You have to feel that, because a lot of people try to escape, and that's why they have that feeling like something is wrong and they never know what it is. It's because you have suppressed and buried everything, and you don't want to feel it because you're trying to escape, because that's what you were taught to do. Instead of facing your mind, literally, because your mind is your biggest op. Your biggest op is your mind. So instead of facing your mind, because your mind is what's keeping those traumas, this is literally replaying it over and over for you. Are you going to face it? Are you going to heal it? You're going to feel through that, or you going to keep burying it, because it's just going to come back up. So it's a layered question, but in the video game, to escape the matrix, you have to separate the two and realize, like, I am not the body, right? I am not the body. I am the soul. But from another aspect, if we're talking about getting in true alignment, you have to be able to integrate everything and connect.
You integrate your entire experience.
Exactly.
Indeed. They say our technology that we come up with mimics a greater technology. And we use drones. We use drones a lot with our technology to surveillance areas, to see things we can't normally see, to get a close eye view of certain things, a mountain, a bird, the ocean, whatever. We could use drones to do so much for us. I want to ask, if we use the word higher self a lot in tonight's conversation. If we have a higher self in another dimension and we are avatars and this is a computer simulation, do you think that in order to get a close-up view of this simulation, do you think that perhaps, and I think I may have heard people talk about this possibility, something like birds or drones for our higher selves to explore this simulation from a close-up view to see what's going on with a higher self and things in our environment? Yaya.
Oh, that's a great question. So, I mean, the birds are definitely the drones, but I don't know if they're ours. I don't know if they're necessarily for us, right? I mean, well, they are for us. They're to watch us. They're to surveil us. But as far as our higher selves, when we're talking about the energy of our higher selves, it's an energy. So it's not like it's a physical drone per se. It's everything. It's everywhere. It's like the totality of everything. So that's why it says, like, your higher self, that energy that a lot of people associate God with, knows everything, knows all. And so this goes back to, okay, I was talking to someone one day and they were saying, like, something happened and there was like some gunshots at their house and they had to duck real quick. And it was like, I don't know who told me to duck in that moment. And I said, you told you to. Right. You told you to. Right. And so if you told you to, that's because the higher you, the God like me, it already knows what's going to happen. It already knows what's going to play out, because it is kind of like the drone surveillance, but just within our frequency, within our body, within our minds. Yeah. And so this is exactly why we can do things like use telepathy and those types of things. So our higher self is absolutely considered our drone, and it can go far too, because we are multi-dimensional. So we can go to different realms, get information, bring it back here, so on and so forth. So to answer your question, yes, but I don't believe I know the birds are for them to watch us.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another way to explain this matrix, some people say we're dreaming, some people call it the Maya, the illusion. There's different words to explain it. But if we're using simulation to explain this matrix in awakened state, what we see and experience in awakened state, what word would you use to explain the dream state within the dream state? When we go to bed at night and we go to sleep, what word, if we use simulation for this right here, what we're doing right here, what word do you use for that dream state, Yaya?
Reality.
Oh, come on. Talk to me. You got to explain that one. You got to explain that one.
Reality, because that's when you're the most free. Like, think about it. I feel like I'm flying a lot of times in my dreams. I'm not worried about working. I'm not worried about none of this low level 3D type of thinking. Like, I'm literally my freest, highest self. Even when it comes to, I was talking about, think about in dreams, you don't really see or hold cell phones or remember yourself talking on a cell phone in a dream, because a cell phone is a 3D tool, right? So it's like you don't really need to use that, because your higher self don't care nothing about this technology. We are the original technology. We literally travel in multi dimensions. We saw this in that what was it, the Doctor Strange movie? You know, when they're showing you how they're going through the different dimensions and jumping through the mirrors and all those types of things, is literally showing us and telling us what we have the capability to do. But we are, we've been placed under a spell. We was given language. We was given GMO food. We was given, everything external outside of us. We was given a God outside of us. Told to look up and wish for Jesus to come back and save us, when in reality it's us saving ourselves from us. Literally, that's what you need to be doing. Save yourself from you. Because I always ask people, when they say, oh, Jesus coming back to save us, from what? For what? Because you need to be saved from you. Your mind is what's keeping you bound. Nothing or nobody else. It's you. But again, it's not completely all of our fault, because when we came here, till the age of 7, we were given somebody else's thoughts, right? So we were given our name. We were given everything that we had. We were told. We were being brought to church, 2 and 3, just sitting up in church. Don't know nothing about what we listening to, none of that. But our subconscious is picking up these things, right? So now we getting deep into the programming. And now when you're able to understand, now they got you going to children's Bible study. They got you saying the Bible verses. They got you fearful. They got you thinking that he's watching you, just like how Santa Claus supposed to be watching. Everybody and everything is watching you, right? They got you feeling guilty all the time. You can't be your truest, highest self in this reality. In the dream world, you're free. You literally can be you. You can fly. You can create in your dream. Like, if I'm lucid dreaming, I can stop my dream. I can start my dream. That's reality for me. So this is an illusion. We're not seeing the real world. And I know that because, again, when I did my shroom journey, I saw everything. I saw the prisms. I saw the different light spectrums. I saw the colors. So what I'm seeing right now, this is just an illusion. This is what we all created collectively and said this is what we were going to view as reality. But it's not.
Yeah. You mentioned the term the mind a lot. The mind, your thoughts and what you plant. You talked about planting seeds to be on this channel and watching my channel for years and saying you were going to be on the channel one day. Now, I didn't know you did that. My spirit just told me to reach out to you and to put you on the channel, that you were a necessary ingredient on this channel. You had to be on this channel. I didn't know you were doing all of that till you told me just now, or we told you on the phone. A lot of people will have sort of similar stories, where they plant seeds. They say, listen, I've been positive. I've been planting seeds to be this, to be a singer, to be that, but it never happens for them. What I want to ask you, Yaya, is do you think the whole positive thinking thing is not what it's cracked up to be? And some people are just destined to experience certain things, and some people are destined to not experience certain things. And if you're not destined to experience something, it don't matter how many thoughts, positive thoughts you put into it.
I like that.
That's why I ask questions, because I like to put the energy into the question. So I mean, like, you took me out of character, Yaya. Let me get back in character. Hold on. Let me get back to character. So no matter how much positive thoughts you put into the situation, you may not experience it because you just weren't destined to experience it.
My thoughts around this have somewhat changed. I never stay married to one idea, so that's what y'all got to learn about me. So I'm gonna break that down.
Right.
I do feel like I know the positive thoughts are important. They're impactful. I've always believed that we write our stories before we get here, right? I always truly believed that. I didn't know. I wasn't saying that I knew that, but I believed that. I believed in the soul contracts. I believed in all of that. But then when you start breaking down what a contract is, or what we're saying we're destined to do, like, and I started digging more into quantum physics, quantum reality, like, is that really real? Like, because we have the power, remember, we create. So we have the power to create whatever reality we want in that moment. So is it destiny, or is it just the reality that I created? Because I could say the positive thoughts all I want, but if I'm not in true total alignment to that, then that might be why it's not working out. It still could have been my destiny. It could have been where I should have been. But maybe I didn't get the lesson in this lifetime or in this realm, and I didn't get in total alignment, mind, body, spirit, soul. You know, maybe your mind was just there. Maybe you were just saying the positive affirmations, but everything else was out of alignment. That may be why you didn't get to the place where you were destined to be, quote unquote. But then if you want to look at it from the aspect of soul contracts, then that could be why. You know, you're saying all of the things, you're saying all the right things, or what you think or consider as right, but still nothing's shaking for you. That, I mean, it maybe it's not your destiny, right? Yeah. So it just depends on how you look at it. And as my consciousness keeps expanding, I have different ways that I can look at it. It just all depends on what I want. And for me, I don't stay stuck or married to a contract saying, oh, I'm supposed to do X, Y, and Z. I just literally go with the flow, because I learned with being in my divine feminine state, I have to be in a state of flow. And the state of flow is learning how to listen to my inner self, my higher consciousness, and listening to it guide me. And so wherever that takes me, I don't know from this physical aspect what's my destiny, right? My higher self knows, but I don't truly know where I'm supposed to land. I'm just trusting spirit, my higher self, to get me there. And so I don't look at it in the way of maybe it wasn't their destiny. For me, myself, I'm just like, they weren't in total alignment, mind, body, and soul.
Indeed. Wow. I want to take, we passed the hour mark, family. I want to take a couple of questions from the chat. I see Yaya got the chat booming. Somebody said, where's it at? Facts, Rich, where you find this sister? LOL, she's on social media, TikTok, Instagram. She be doing her thing. So I want to bring her over to the YouTube, the YouTube platform, but she's all over social media doing a thing. Y'all gonna hear more and more about her. She's popping in these streets, so make sure y'all follow her. But you got a YouTube channel?
I do, but I haven't been consistent on there. See, I'm taking accountability. I ain't been consistent on there, so I have videos, but a lot of them are like videos that I've already posted on a lot of the other socials. So I'm gonna get more active on there. So y'all go subscribe. I'll put all my information in here.
Excellent. Let's get to some questions from the family before we get out of here. It's been like I told y'all what it was going to be. It's been I told y'all it was an explosive hour. The questions, the answers, it was amazing. Give me some questions in the chat for the sister Yaya777. Let me see. Well, let me get to this one I see right here. So basically, we can rewrite contracts because how I see it, some people contracts may have been disturbed or rerouted. What y'all think?
I always look at it that way because I did a video talking about when people have miscarriages or abortions, those types of things, and I know that's a very sensitive subject for people, but when you look at it from that aspect, even thinking about a baby that comes here, and we talk about the free will, right? So the baby might have had a contract in mind, right? Come here, the baby comes here, and let's think about it in the aspect of a baby that's stillborn. A baby comes here, and then what if the baby gets here and is like, nah, I don't want to do this. I changed my mind. That's a part of free will, right? A part of free will is being able to shift and change or rewrite the contract. In my mind, that's how I look at it. So I'm not bound to anything. I think that's a part of the programming to make people believe that they are bound to something. So you absolutely can rewrite the contract. It's all in what you believe or what you know.
Next question. Have y'all ever went to spiritual war energetically with an entity? My short answer is no. Go ahead, Yaya.
Oh yeah, I did. I definitely did. And just to keep long story short, so and my oldest daughter, she don't mind me telling people this, she has Tourette's, right? And so I remember back in the day, I was 17 when I had my oldest daughter. And I remember being, I'm from Hartford, Connecticut. So I was, in the house on the third floor. It was, the TV was playing, I think it was like on BT or something. And it was one of those like church shows, that come on at 3 a.m. And I just happened to like get up at that moment. And so I noticed that something came into the room. It was really dark. Now, mind you, the TV was on, but it was dark as if the TV wasn't on, but I could still hear the TV. And so now this dark entity is filling my room. And this, mind you, this is when I was contemplating like, I'm never going back to church because I'm 17, but now I feel like I'm grown, y'all, because I got a baby. So I'm like, I ain't going to no church. So I'm like, nah, I don't want to go to church. And it seems like, here we go with the Matrix throwing me a distraction, trying to scare me into going to church. This entity comes and fills the room. And I knew I wasn't tripping because even my baby, mind you, small little baby, like she was like 3 months on the bed and she's fighting. Like she's going like this. And I'm like, what is she fighting? Like, and as you know, and babies are very highly connected to the spiritual realm. They can see things we can't. So she's fighting. And I truly believe, and again, this is my belief, I'm not putting a no on this, but I truly believe that people with Tourette's, when you analyze them, that is nothing but an entity. Because like, it makes them curse, it makes them hit themselves, it makes them do certain things. And it's like, that's an entity. And I truly believe that night is when the entity tried to attack my child. And so to answer your question, yes. And it didn't scare me because I'm here right now. But it definitely tried to deter me from getting out of the church because I've been in the church for 17 years, unwillingly. But yeah, that's what happened to me. So I was definitely under spiritual attack. I even go through it now sometimes, but I don't affirm it. That's the key. And, like I teach a lot about hoodoo as well. And affirmation, I never affirm anything. Even if I feel like somebody tried to put something on me, I don't affirm it because I'm too powerful for that. I live and I walk in that. You can't put nothing on me because you're not more powerful than me. So I move with that energy everywhere I go. And I actually saw Sister Myra. She changed my life and perspective. I think it was a few years ago on your show. And she said that every time she get on a plane, she never really worry about it because she know the energy that she walk with. And ever since that day, I promise you, I have not changed from that day forward. Everywhere I go, nobody gonna touch me. Nobody gonna do nothing to me. You can't put nothing on me. There's no energy you can send my way that's more powerful than me. And I literally live by that. Wow. So yeah, it's all about your mindset. And that's why I tell people, stay off my page with scary energy. Don't tell me to be careful. Don't tell me to do none of that, because that's your programming. That's what you scared of. I'm not scared. That's why I'm up here speaking. They can't shut me up.
Damn.
So yeah, that's how I walk every single day.
Yo, yeah, I see so much success for you. You take so much accountability for your matrix experience, your avatar, whatever we want to call this realm. Like, you are like speaking like, yo, it is what it is. Like, yo, that's strong. That's strong. That's hard for a lot of people to do. So I see so much, and I can see why my energy gravitated toward yours and wanted you to be on the show. Like, that's dope. I could dig that. I could really.
And we Virgos, you know,
Yeah.
I don't subscribe, but
Yeah, see, somebody said that earlier. That's what's up. That's
yeah.
Let me get to another question. All right, this brother said, beginning closer to my spirituality these past few months, then I got laid off today. Guess I'm on the right track, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, remember, we in the great awakening. We in the period where your soul and your spirit is not going to allow you to be comfortable anymore. A lot of y'all are too comfortable, and I'm talking to myself as well. Okay, don't listen. I'm talking to myself, but a lot of people are comfortable in the programming, and your soul is not. And so what's happening is you're being forced at this point. It's like your soul, like, listen, you've been doing this long enough. Let me go on and get you up out of here, because it's pushing you towards your highest purpose, your greater calling. And you have to figure out what exactly that is. So I'll give y'all what I give to people when I do my consults. I tell everybody, if you want to figure out what's your passion, your purpose, your highest call, if I had to do a seminar and I needed you to fill the room for 5 hours and speak, what would you talk about? Excellent. What is that one thing that you could just go and non-stop talk about? For me, everything deep thought. I will get your brain cells jumping for 5 hours straight, and I don't need not one book. So for me, my passion and my purpose is speaking, and that's how I help heal the people. I do that via these platforms. So that's my way of contributing back to the collective. That's my passion. That's my purpose. That's what I feel amazing doing. And that's what fills my cup. Now people have to figure out, what is that thing for you? What is that one thing for you that's filling your cup? Because if you were not doing that, that's why you got laid off from that job. It's happening for you, not to you.
Yeah. What you think about this statement? This is an interesting statement. They said you are rising above your zodiac. What you think about that?
Ooh, that's interesting. So if y'all don't know, that's why I was just telling you, Brother Rich, I don't really subscribe to the Zodiacs in that way, where people rely on it or try to use it as a crutch. You know, you hear a lot of people say, you know, you ain't gonna do that to me. I'm a Virgo. So like we all have different aspects, because when you know about these Zodiacs, again, energy, we thinking about energy. These Zodiacs are nothing more than different energies based off of the alignments, right? And so if I know that, and gratitude for the compliments and all of that, but if I know that, then I know that I embody every single energy at different points, right? And so it's my job to per se master or get in alignment with every single energy, understand and know how to interact with all of these energies, how to pull from each one so that I can strengthen myself. So, you know, I have Virgo energy, I have Pisces energy, it just depends. You never know what you're going to get. And just based off of the timing that we're in, just like the real new year sparked April. So when the real new year came, then I had that Taurus energy or Aries energy. So I embodied that because I was a bull as a Taurus, as an Aries. I'm starting shit. I'm the leader. So I'm embodying every single energy so that I can ascend. So in a way, you're right.
Indeed. Next question, Yaya. Somebody said brain does not equal mind, right?
That's interesting. I love this question. Brain is more of like the physical, like the thing that we can see, like we can pull up on the internet as a picture, right? The mind is like what goes into it, the frequencies, the the thoughts, the wave, the electromagnetic waves being sent from the sun to your mind. Your mind is like the construct, like what's creating the different thoughts, the traumas, the fears. It's literally being fed. Your mind is being fed. What is it being fed by? Everything outside of you, unless you know how to interact and kind of stop that shit, like put a stop to that. But your mind is being fed. Your brain is just like the physical thing where the thoughts necessarily sit, but the brain to me is like the physical side of it, like what I can actually see, what they can actually take out of my head, right? They can't take my mind out of my head, but they can take my brain because that's more physical, if that makes sense.
Indeed. No, definitely. It makes total sense. It makes total sense. This is a absolutely amazing conversation. Wow. No, truly, indeed. Let's get to, okay. Angela wants to know, do you hear music you never heard when you sleep?
Ooh, I love that.
Yes.
Actually, not like now, like if I'm sleeping normally, but when I'm on a trip, like if I do different things, my shrooms and all that, I hear all types of things. I see even colors that I'm like, what color is that? Like I didn't even know this color existed. There's not even a name that I could put to it, or even like a way for me to describe it, because I've never seen it. And it just goes back to like, are we truly seeing reality? Because if I'm seeing this while on the shrooms, and this is literally what the world looks like around me for real, these little basic colors that we seeing is nothing compared to all the colors that nature really makes.
Yeah.
So we're not seeing literally but like this much of the light spectrum. Mm-hmm. So when you think about it in that way, it's like, that's what I'm telling you. If you can't get there yourself, as far as seeing certain things or having your mind open, I don't want to advocate for the shroomies, but I'm just telling y'all, I'm just telling you, if you want to expand your mind, but be ready. So let me preface that. You have to be ready, because again, if you're vibrating low, if you have a lot of different traumas and all those types of things, and you're not ready to feel them, if you're not ready to feel through them, because you're going to feel them, then I would suggest not doing it. But if you're ready to face yourself, sit with yourself, if you're ready to see the truth, if you're ready to know that you created everything around you, you're ready to take accountability, then I would definitely say, expand your mind.
Mm-hmm. All right. Shout out to David. Yo, David, let me know if you got your cigar. I mailed it out. Let me know if you got your cigar in the chat. But let me ask you a question. David wants to know, how does she balance and harmonize all of her technologies, parentheses, gifts for her daily life?
Multiple ways. Definitely meditation, nature. Get out in nature. Like when I'm feeling any kind of way, I just go sit out in the sun. Or I'll go plant my feet in the soil. I'll go hug a tree. I'll go talk to the bees. I'll talk to the dragonflies. And I mean, these were things that was foreign to me. Like, you talking about somebody scared of a bee. Baby, I will hurt you and me trying to get up away from a bee. But now that I know, and I'm like, again, energy, vibration, frequency, it's like I can kind of feel like they communicating with me on a different level. So they ground me. They keep me centered. So connecting with nature. I do a lot of spiritual baths. Again, I'm a hoodoo girly. I sell a lot of hoodoo merch, Florida water, all those types of things. I do a lot of candle work.
Sinners.
No,
yep, Sinners. The movie.
Exactly.
Hoodoo's popping now. Hoodoo's popping now, Yaya.
Now it is. Yeah, we was crazy before. We was rich ladies. We was everything you want to name us. But, everybody want to know the spells now. They want to know what worked. But, you got to be mindful when these are energies. It's still energy. So it's hoodoo is a lineage thing. So it's in our blood. That's what we're supposed to be doing. They're elements for a reason, and they're here for a reason, for us to work with them. It's nothing demonic about it. It's like, how can you ever call something that comes from the earth demonic? I hear a lot of people talking about crystals and things like that. And the first thing that's very demonic. That's what they were saying about the Sinners movie. It's everything is demonic, but where does the demon live? In you. You are the demon and you are God. You are all the things. It's you. So you scared of you? I could use it for whatever reason I want to use it for. I choose to use hoodoo, for good. I don't work with the left hand unless necessary. But as far as, what I use it for what it's here for. And that's a part of the cheat code for the Matrix that they don't want you to know, which is why the program is to respond and say it's demonic.
Well, Yaya, they want to know, let me get to the next question. Based on you saying that, they want to know, can she explain hoodoo? I might be doing it and not know. LOL.
Oh yeah, you doing it. You more than likely. Hey, if you want to ask, you doing it. Hey. So hoodoo is all right. I know y'all heard your grandma say, don't put that hat on my bed. That's bad luck. Or don't sweep my foot. Or there's so many different things, like the penny loafers. I talk about the penny. How, you heard the saying, see a penny, pick it up, all day long, you'll have good luck. You think about what copper is. It's a conductor, right? And so they've used copper for years when it comes to hoodoo or even voodoo. I use a lot of copper when it comes, like if I go to the crossroads, I'll take the pennies with me. I'll take certain things that, that deity might like. And, I use those things. But again, these are things that come from the earth. Now, they changed the copper penny from actual copper. I can't remember the exact year. I think it was like 1982 or something like that. And so these are not real copper pennies now. But the real copper, yeah, absolutely. We use that. I do a lot of candle magic, where if you've ever seen them at the church and they always have those candles lit on the altar, they're doing a lot of the things because remember, hoodoo was hidden, or I won't say remember if a lot of people don't know, hoodoo was hidden in the church, which is why you see a lot of things that's in the church that's similar to what we do in hoodoo, which is why I think it's crazy when people demonize it. Because it's like, so the altar is only demonized or negative when it's in my house, but you go up to it every time your pastor call you to it. So it's not considered evil or demonic then. Your pastor lay hands on you, faking a funk, knowing you not healed, and you gonna fall out anyway, even though you know it's not doing nothing. But as soon as somebody in the community saying they have the ability to heal, you don't believe that. You truly don't, but you sat up there and let your pastor make a fool of you and falling out in that church. So it's like a lot of the things that they take, baptism. Why are they doing that? Because that's what we was originally doing, going to the oceans to get baptized, not no nasty pool in the church. You're supposed to go to the oceans, the real primordial waters where we come from. So, when you start to understand that, again, everything is connected. I use every element around me to my advantage. That's what hoodoo is.
Excellent. Isaiah, I see you say, yo, Rich, I want one of them cigars. I'm just waiting on packaging, Isaiah. By next week, I should have certain packaging that I'm waiting for, and I'm gonna talk to the family about them. I've been quiet about them, but I'll let y'all, give me about a week, and I'll let y'all know. Whoever got them early, give me a testimony. Let me know how was your experience. But yeah, wait till next week, and I'll start talking to y'all about them again. I just want to wait for certain packaging, family. We're gonna take about two more questions. Okay. And then we're gonna get out of here. It's getting late. Don't want to keep Yaya too long. We're gonna take two more questions, then we get on out of here. We still got over 2,000 people in the room. Shout out to y'all. Let's get to this next question. What brings Yaya's inner child joy? I like that.
Ooh,
what brings the inner child joy, Yaya?
Yaya love to dance. I'm glad you asked this. Listen, whenever I hear a tune, I'm telling you, music is my language. Okay, I love music. Speaking of which, if you in Atlanta, even you, Brother Rich, if y'all want to come out, you bring your lady. I'm having a soul jam session May 30th and 31st. Music, of course. I'm telling stories through the music. We're going to have a great time. So music brings out my inner child. And it's funny you asked that. Just real quick, I'll give you a scenario. I was telling you, Brother Rich, a little about this on the phone. When I had my ayahuasca journey, my medicine lady was so dope. that she was able to come into my experience. And I couldn't purge for whatever reason. But when she came to me, she asked me, she said, "What age did you stop dancing?" And I bust out crying. I mean, I let out a cry. The people around me was like, it felt like I let out a cry from like when I was 5. It was the deepest, oh my gosh, the most soul healing experience, because the moment I stopped dancing was the moment I stopped connecting with my inner child.
Wow.
And that's when I stopped being free. That's when I stopped listening to myself and stopped creating. Because again, your inner child is your creativity. Remember, just think back how creative children are. I have 2 grandbabies. I have twin grandbabies, and I just watch them and I'm like, how creative they are. And they're only 2. And so the creativity, like they have no fear. They have no limitations. They don't have any of that. So getting back to my childlike self, my childlike state is literally dancing, music, just letting the music take me away.
Amazing, amazing. Chris, I seen Chris said, "Don't all cigars have graphene oxide like the weave?" No, Chris, these cigars don't. You don't have to worry. These are 100% pure tobacco from Honduras. The shamans out there use this form of tobacco, so it's some of the best tobacco in the world, Chris. But like I said, I'm not talking about that tonight. I will start talking about that again next week. Maximus, thanks for letting me know I got a super chat. We're gonna end the show. The last question, super chat question. Thank you for your donation of $5, Sheena. Sheena wants to know, do we have a twin soul in the Amenti?
That's a good question. It depends on what I would say what people believe, because some people go off of different beliefs. I do believe we have a twin soul, or I don't know if you want to call it a twin soul, twin flame. I do believe we have one, which is why you meet and connect with certain people, and it's kind of like you like known them forever, because y'all literally been doing this lifetime together for so long. But there's a lot of people who don't believe that. So I guess it's just based all off of your belief truly. But for me, myself, I'm leaning towards yes, we definitely do. Because I've met people and I'm like, there's no way we disconnected. Like, I had to have known you before. I knew you. You meet those people, you're like, nah, I know you, but I don't know where, but I know you know.
Yeah, we can feel it.
I feel it. It's like a soul connection. And a lot of times, just for instance, my daughter, my middle daughter, since she's been able to talk, she told me that she was my grandmother. And I was like, huh? And so now that she's about to be 18 soon, so she still says it, but I'm like, girl, I'll still whip your butt. What's up? Like, you my daughter in this realm, that don't got nothing to do with me right now. But she truly believes that. And as I learned about reincarnation and learned about how we just basically are with the same people that we've been with, just in different roles, I truly believe that sometimes. When I look at like I said, my grandbabies, when I look, my brother passed away, and I look at those 2 and I'm like, damn, was I in so much trauma and pain that he's like, here, I'm gonna give you 2 of me, right? Like, I don't know. That's how I feel, because when I look at them, I see him. But I don't know if that's just a projection of me wanting them to be like him or look like him, or if it's literally just that, him reincarnated twice. So I truly believe we align with certain people because they are a part of our soul tribe, our soul family, our soul spark. They got their spark at the same time as us, which is why it feels so familiar.
Indeed. Hey, fam, with that being said, man, I want to thank Yaya for coming on the channel tonight. Wow.
Thank you for having me.
What a debut. Like you said, you've been planting them seeds, and it's dope to see. Like I said, I just, I didn't know, and just based on your merit and what I see from what your information and what you're saying on Instagram and TikTok, super dope. So I'm just like, yo, sis is super dope. I gotta get on here. So I look forward to having you on here again, Yaya. Tell the people how they could get in touch with you, because I know everybody is gonna want to get in touch. Tell the people how can they get in touch with Yaya.
Yeah. So My social medias for Instagram and TikTok is Yaya's_world777. On Facebook, okay, y'all, this my government name is Anisha, but it's Anitia. Last name Brown. I had to change it to that. I did not want to. But I also have another page connected to it that's Yaya's World 777. So it's 2 pages on Facebook, and then I have a YouTube channel. It's at YOU, Your Own Universe. So that is how you can get in touch with me. And my email is yayasworld777@gmail. So I think those are all my handles.
Dope.
Yes.
Also, family, just a reminder, I will be on King Simon's channel tonight. Not tonight, I'm sorry. Tomorrow night, I will be on King Simon's channel. So I want everybody to tune in to King Simon's channel. It's gonna be raw and uncut interview. He's gonna be interviewing me. So make sure you're tuning in to King Simon's channel tomorrow. The rest of the week, I got Miss Blue on Wednesday. And shout out to, I still got to reach out to Mama T. You sent me her number.
Yes.
The sister Mama T. I want to reach out to her. I want to get her on this week as well. So I'm going to reach out to her. But it's going to be a very powerful week this week, family. We represent the divine feminine energy this week. And I'm just hyped and I'm excited. And the week started out great, just like how I knew it would. With that being said, this is Brother Rich, Yaya777. Thank you so much, Queen, for coming on the platform. With that being said, thanks for tuning in, y'all. Y'all still on here with us tonight. Getting out of here. I will see y'all tomorrow on King Simon channel. Yaya, I'm going to talk to you soon. I want to chop it up with you about a couple of things, all right?
Okay. Sounds good. Gratitude, y'all.
Okay. Peace, y'all. See you tomorrow. Peace.